Some breaking news: if you've ever purchased or sold an item on eBay, you've got to watch this. Any card worth $750 or more, that includes Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or sports cards, now have to be authenticated before it gets sent to the buyer. Stick around. The kicker: the authentication service is a direct competitor of PSA and BGS, known as CGC.
In a world full of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, grading, selling, buying, one card game remains supreme. One man has the insights you need to know. Watch and subscribe now. YugiohTube.
What's up, YouTube? YugiohTube here, discussing the breaking news that not a lot of folks are talking about. That's right. If you've ever purchased, if you've ever bought anything or sold anything on eBay, whether it be sports, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, all kinds of collectible sports cards, TCG, any cards in general, $750. That's right. If a card is worth $750 or more, it has to go through an authentication process. You're saying that's fine. The cards I sell, the most a card is worth is like $300. Don't worry. By the middle of this year, the service will grow to include graded, autograph, and patch cards sold for $250 and higher as well. So for some people, this doesn't affect anything. For other people, this is a big deal. Whether you're buying or you're selling cards on eBay, valued, for example, at $250 or more, some people do that every single day, some do it every single hour. What's going to happen here is, let's say I'm a seller, and I sell a Dark Magician Girl, PSA 10, PSA 9, let's say, for what, a few $1,000s? I can't go and ship that directly to the buyer. Instead, what's going to happen is I'm going to have to ship that to eBay's authentication site known as CGC. And folks, if you don't know what CGC is, this is a huge move for the market. CGC just made a huge splash, and it came kind of out of nowhere. That's right, CGC, the company that grades all the comic books and does work with coins as well, really wanted to make an indent in that Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, non-sport, TCG kind of community. CGC officially is going to be the authentication service for cards, and that includes sports, that includes Pokemon, that includes Yu-Gi-Oh, which, to be honest with you, is quite horrifying. I don't know how CGC runs. This is just the outside guy talking to a camera, and hopefully to some of you, and hobefully you're still watching. But from what I have heard about CGC, first of all, I want to say they're fantastic people to talk to, great people, very excited about the hobby. But I will also say this, in terms of the Yu-Gi-Oh segment of CGC, I have heard stories where they're not quite as up-to-date as they should be, whether it be pack authentication, knowing how to spot fake, for example, LOB cards, fake Japanese cards, the card stock of certain cards. I am very worried when it comes to CGC and authentication when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Pokemon might be a whole different story. I don't really know, but I do know this. No matter what, CGC at this moment just made a huge splash, and PSA should be very nervous about this. When we look at all the competitive companies, we look at Beckett, PSA, CGC, of course PSA the leader. CGC kind of came on really recently for the non-sports stuff, and to be honest with you, they didn't make quite as big a splash as some people had hoped. But now they're getting their name out there, and they're going to say, well, where's this authenticated from? Oh, it's CGC. CGC. And that gets people thinking about CGC. So a big winner in this, for sure, is CGC. Potential loser in this deal is also CGC. Because let's be honest, if they say this is a legitimate pack of LOB cards, and it's not, it's resealed, it's even a counterfeit or a fake pack, their hide is on the line. So CGC is taking a huge gamble when it comes to this service. They're probably allocating several resources, which they have, to be able to do it. When we compared the three big companies when it comes to grading, we also note SGC out there as well. But CGC for the Pokemon Yugioh cards, I always thought was a big competitor because they had the assets, allocation, resources to get it done. They had the capital and finances to really get something going here. And when they're the ones doing this, they have the power now to really boost their business. They also have the power to destroy their business when it comes to authentication and grading. You ever hear of the BBC scandal with the whole Logan Paul case? There's a chance that, well, CGC might also be a culprit of authenticating things that shouldn't really be authenticated. Now, at the same time, if they do their job and they authenticate the 99.9% of authentic items that get sold on eBay and weed out the 0.01% of fake counterfeit items on eBay, then I think they'll do very, very well. Let's be honest here. A lot of stuff on eBay is legit. Again, I'd say 99+% of things you see on eBay is legitimate, authentic. Of course, you're going to have the people say, well, what about this fake this counterfeit this reprint this? Of course. That's going to happen. Some are going to leak through the cracks and be listed on eBay. It's up to CGC to really weed that stuff out. But for the most part, I'd say 99% of the time, you're going to get an authentic, legitimate, real item. Here's the thing. When you're selling a card on eBay, $250. For some people, again, this is their livelihood, buying and selling on eBay. And if they sell something at $250, that is now going to cause a bottleneck. And some folks are going to say, where's my item? Where's my item? I don't know. It's being authenticated. What happens if too many cards are being authenticated at once and all of a sudden there's a huge backlog? We all know what happened with PSA. It kind of sunk everything, shut it all down. What happens if that happens through eBay? What if there's so many cards valued at $250 that it simply overwhelms the authentication service of eBay, causing massive delays, causing massive backups? Buyers no longer want the item because it's been several weeks. Now, this article does say something about how if it does sell, it will take 2 days or 48 hours to then be rerouted to the buyer. And again, a lot of resources have to be allocated for this. I'm sure CGC and eBay know the demand. They talk about how hot sports cards have been, how hot Pokemon cards have been, Marvel and golf cards growing by astronomical amounts. And I'm sure, again, the people working there forecasting have forecasted a fantastic and probably over-forecasted to compensate for any additional demand that comes in. But right now, it's a risk because now sellers are annoyed. Because now I don't sell direct to consumer. Now I have to sell it and ship it. I should say ship it, not direct to consumer, but ship it to an authentication service. I mean, come on. Really? And buyers also are saying, well, now I have to wait longer to get my stinking cards. You know, so yeah, would I like it to be guaranteed, certified, authentic? Of course, but the people buying cards at $250, typically, they're not going to be the people that are just like, oh, I don't know if this is real or not. I need someone to help me. Typically, the people buying this stuff are the people who are actually involved and heavily involved and up-to-date in the industry and how to spot fakes and counterfeits. So again, the whole process of requirement, demanding every transaction eventually above $250 to go through an authentication process, to me seems extreme. And again, here where it says the eBay website notes the authentications are being handled by experts at CGC Trading Cards, which is a big, huge name and a huge piece of news for them here today. And again, eBay wants to be better than Facebook Marketplace and local buying apps so you don't get scammed. So now eBay wants to not only be the place where you can buy stuff, but of course not get scammed as well, because eBay's reputation for a long time was typical that of a Craigslist type of deal where, oh, I'm buying it on eBay. I don't know if it's legit, but so many people that actually use eBay actually know you typically will get your items and it'll be no problem at all. They talk about the sneaker market. Here it is. The authenticator has 2 days to authenticate watches and or trading cards, 3 business days for sneakers and handbags. If the item passes, it's shipped to the buyer with 2-day secure delivery. If it's not, it's sent back to the seller and the buyer's refunded. eBay is currently covering the cost with authentication, but here we go. Please note. But that will change in the future. Oh, I'm sorry. That could change in the future. Let's be honest, that will change in the future, because eBay right now is covering the costs associated. When does eBay cover the cost of anything? eBay will eventually move on and say, well, now, the sellers are going to have to pay the fee. The buyers are going to have to pay another fee. If it's over $250, guess what? eBay's taking more percentage out of the sale. So this is horrible, probably eventual news. Again, I'm speculating. I'm saying absolutely no facts here, but I'm just saying there's a very good likelihood that eBay will upcharge or have some sort of fee for this service that no one really requires, no one really wants. I don't understand why this service couldn't be an add-on for someone that's buying an item to say, hey, do you want this authentication? Do you want this to be a guarantee? And then it's the buyer's decision to say, oh, yeah, I'm kind of a noob with cards. I better just pay the extra X% and have it authenticated. But no, it seems like everything is being authenticated and it's being mandatory and required, which again is going to hurt sellers. It's going to hurt buyers. It's going to take longer times. The transactions are not going to be simply business to consumer. It's going to be business to business, then to consumer. Then you have the other situation of what happens if it gets lost in the mail from the authentication service to the buyer. Whose hides on the line there? If I sell it to the buyer and it gets lost, we all know the troubles between the buyer and seller. What happens now if I sell it, I ship it over to the authentication then ships it to the buyer, and there's an issue there. What happens? How is it going to get packed? What happens if the authenticator just doesn't pack the item well and the PSA slab gets destroyed in the mail? There's so many moving parts to this. Well, it's great for CGC. It's a very clear detriment for a lot of other folks. That includes, again, the buyers and sellers in the process. And I'm just not so sure that, well, I understand eBay wants to be the leader in, selling great priced, authentic goods, guaranteed, no problem here, and they want to really build that reputation. I also think there's a lot of potential hurdles, bottlenecks, setbacks that really could come from this. Again, the big winner, CGC without a doubt. eBay, I would say, also a big winner, because now, again, they're getting their authenticity and their claims of being, genuine out there. So good on eBay. Losers, for sure. The people who are going to get hosed are probably the buyers, the sellers, because we're going to hit more fees. The new buyer, I would say, is a winner. The new buyer. But then again, if you're a new buyer, you shouldn't be buying anything 250 plus. But again, the sellers and buyers as a whole, I think, are going to take a hit on this. And I think this is a very, very interesting development that nobody's really talking about or even taking seriously. Should be interesting to watch what's going to happen. If you look here, you got some watches, right? You got some Rolex watches. You see the authenticity guarantee. They do the same thing for watches. And I'm curious to see how it's going to work with sports cards and Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh! Non-sport trading card games. What do you guys think? Great news for CGC. Could it backfire on them? Could CGC all of a sudden become a main competitor of PSA and Beckett and BGS? We'll have to wait and see. What do you think? Do you think eBay's a big winner? Do you think there'll be bottlenecks and problems when it comes to streamlining this process and pulling it out there? I think they're going to start with the 750. If they eventually move to 250, there's quite a few transactions, really. Just the quantity out there, it's going to be really, really tough. But apparently, they're ready to do it. What do you think? Till next time, YugiohTube signing out.